News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Alan Gilbreth, darkoakmedia.com.
And I'm Maximilian, and I'm pretty sure you all celebrated this already, getting set up, but I wanted to wish you all a very happy belated Scotch Tape Day.
Every day is Scotch Tape Day, Max. I celebrated, I think we did celebrate over here, as a matter of fact, Alan.
Yeah, we've used quite a bit.
And Joe, I know this isn't really related, but I just had to put it out there. Also, a very happy belated Gorilla Suit Day.
All right, well, that's the one we're leaning into, but okay. Oh my gosh, okay. Happy Gorilla Suit Day. If that doesn't trigger the phone lines, Alan, we're doing something wrong. But okay, well, we got a lot.
There's going to be a definition of something wrong with that one.
Pretty good contributions there, Max. Okay, you've outdone yourself. So, all right. Well, also, I don't know if we sound a little different. I always assume we sound a little bit different when we're not in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
But let's tell everybody, Alan. Today, you and I are over here at the home show of the Mid-South. This is like our fourth year in a row over here. It's quiet. It's the calm before the storm because they open at 10 o'clock. But man, you can't beat the weather. You can't beat They have a lot of new faces here this year.
They do. There are a lot of reasons to come out to the Agri Center. Of you and I being present, notwithstanding.
Well, yeah.
There's plenty of things to do, plenty of things to see, and it does encompass the entire Agri Center. This is not a small program.
No, and also if you're thinking about maybe you're a young homeowner or maybe you're just thinking about that project, this is a great time to get free advice. Let's just be honest, and also get a sense of who's out there, what sort of services are out there. And I don't know about you, but it seems like technology always plays a role where suddenly you're like, that wasn't here last year. There's all these new options for homeowners, and it's a great place to check it out. So yeah, get down here to the Agri Center starting at 10 o'clock. It's going on today and tomorrow, and Alan and our buddy Brandon Olmstead was here yesterday, and it was jumping then too, right? So
we had ran into a lot of fans. I'd like to say big shout out to everybody. Ran into fans from years past. And very excited to, people we hadn't seen in a long time.
Oh, that's fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Okay, cool. And we're set up, so if you're looking for us, we're sort of centrally located. I'd say we're more on the northwest side of the...
we're in Barn B.
We're in Barn B, and we're set up right next to our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing, who I think is probably going to drop in later today. I mean, he's set up here. And another reason... Well, we'll talk to Jay later.
We'll talk to him a little bit.
There's a lot on the
gorilla suit.
Yeah, the gorilla suit's really. I would love to know where Jay stands with that. If he's ever dressed like a gorilla, or if he thinks that would be a good marketing tactic, standing out and drumming up business that way. So, but we have more on the table. Alan, you've this isn't a gorilla suit, but you did deal with wildlife. Let's just say you dealt with wildlife this week in your week in review. We'll talk about that. We've got, I don't want to over tease because you know how that is when we have a home show and we have things going on. But I will say, I do have one thing. How about this? What do you think of this title? It's your home. Do what you want.
Live your lifestyle.
I was talking to my wife about something yesterday, and this all came from a Rick Steves video. You know, that travel guy that travels around. So we'll talk about that.
All right. Awesome.
We have a lot to get to. Let's just not even bother over teasing. So, but before we get to any of those things, Max, we'll get to our must-have items of the week, and it's as shameless of a promotion as you can get, but so what? But, Alan, tell people what we've put up on Facebook here.
You have put up a big old pile of free swag.
Yeah.
Pins and other goodies.
Let's just be subtle. So here's the deal. I mean, ever since I started coming to the home show, I've stopped buying ballpoint pens. I never buy ballpoint pens. What are those things that you put your drinks in? Coolies or coolers or koozies.
Yeah, koozies. Yes.
I haven't bought one of those. Haven't bought. You can if you're strategic, you can get a lot of free stuff here. and including
Tool Talk Radio show magnets for your fridge.
That's what we've got. Yeah, the Tool Talk Radio show magnet is a great way to remind yourself to listen every week, and it holds things up on your fridge. I've tested the magnetism of these magnets, Alan, and they work. I mean, and Alan paid for these. This is Alan's swag. This is his doing, and I got to give you credit, man. They work. So
the magnets do hold up pretty good.
Yeah, so check those out, and but it's also kind of just I think it's personally a pretty smart business tactic, because I'm looking at all these pens that I've acquired, and every one of them has the business name, it has their logo, it has their phone number and their website, and so every time I'm using this pen, I'm going to think of that business, and I just, it works for everybody. It's a mutually beneficial situation. So, and I'm looking over here and I see that Jay Hill has even got some free GAF frisbees.
Oh yeah.
So you better get down here quick before those things are gone. So okay, well, pretty shameless promotion, but
that was pretty shameless. That's good.
Okay. Hey Max.
Yes.
Oh, back at the studio. You're not just sitting back eating donuts now with your feet up on the control board, are you?
No, I was researching about the history of the gorilla suit.
All right, let's get that knocked out, because I know you're just dying to tell us about that real quick, and Alan's already shaking his head. But give us the short pitch for this, where this even came from.
The 1920s.
Okay,
we got
fair
Carlos
enough.
Cruz Gamora, who was a Hollywood makeup artist, and he found the original gorilla suits to be lackluster. So, in his intensive studies of real gorillas in the San Diego Zoo, he coupled his makeup expertise and gave his suit a special level of authenticity. And his gorilla suits were featured in such wonderful films as The Gorilla and The Chimp, among other things. He has a very wide repertoire of just a lot of primate-related movies.
Hey, you know what? Everybody has their own art form, and who's to say making gorilla suits is any less important to the big scheme of things than being an architect or something else.
Now,
so.
I will say artistry actually plays a good role in Scotch Tape Day as well, if you'd care to.
Yeah, let's hit that too. So.
Well, let's go back again to the 1920s. Man, were the 1920s roaring? Well,
they sure were.
So Richard Drew was someone working at a place called the Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing Company, and he sold sandpaper at the time, and he used to deliver these samples to auto body shops, who would always complain about the fact that when they wanted to make their cars two-tone colors, it'd be really difficult because, the tapes and the adhesives back in the day would stick to the car and destroy your painting. And so Drew came up with the idea of using crepe paper, cabinets maker glue, and glycerin as a way of making more user-friendly tape for these auto body people, which gave birth to Scotch tape. And I can get to why it's called Scotch tape in a minute.
Okay.
So,
just tell us, Max.
Okay,
don't leave us hanging.
So in the trial and error process of him testing the glues out or the tapes out with the auto body people, someone found his work a little lackluster because the adhesives were on the edges of the tape rather than on the whole surface of the tape itself. So they said, you go take this back to your Scotty, and you take this Scotty tape back to whoever, and I'm going to fix it for us, because Scotty or Scotch was a sort of derogatory term back in the day for, something that was poor or cheap.
Huh. Now, Alan, those are fighting words for you. You're Scottish, so, okay. Well, I don't want to get into any...
I'm just going to walk away
Yeah, let's just walk away from that.
You know how much money we've made as Scotch tape since then?
Yeah, no kidding. So, all right, well, those are good, Max. I actually like that, and everybody's got a Scotch tape story, and it's funny. It's one of those things, we take it for granted, but what would the world look like without Scotch tape? I know as a painter... Or even I've used that as a second set of hands with carpentry work. All of us need Scotch tape. So I'm glad they came up with that. All right, moving on, Alan. Before we, you said something off the air that I think is worthy of mention. How much time do we got, Max? I hate to ask.
We have about 1 minute.
Okay. One of the other good reasons to come to the home show of the Mid-South is, well, there's great networking, let's face it. But if you're a young contractor, you can get a lot of, you can learn about what you're getting yourself into, and you can pick up a lot of good pointers and a lot of good advice as well. So we're gonna hit that when we come back here. But just a reminder, we're at the home show of the Mid-South all weekend, and we'd love to say hello to you. So make sure you drop by the Tool Talk Radio booth, and also scoot on over to the Big M Roofing and Remodeling booth as well. So, alrighty, I can't hear anything. Can you? Are we good, Max?
We're not to break yet.
This is really good. Well, I can't.
It's called live radio, Joe. It's called live radio.
And also, we're going to find out what Allan did this weekend, because it was he did this week, and it was a lot of indoor and outdoor activity. There it is. I can hear it. All right, I'm going to go drink some caffeine and come back. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I could get a fish for a 5-cent worm.
Oh, you're paying way too much for worms, man. Who's your worm guy?
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And today, it's quiet now, but soon it's going to be jumping over here. We're at the Agri Center. We got here ahead of the crowd, but at 10 o'clock they open for the home show of the Mid-South. And it's really, Allan, you were here yesterday. It's a pretty the traffic was here.
It was busy. I got news for you. It was far more active, a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be.
Okay, so, awesome. So it's
very good.
Lot going on, and of course, there's our buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling is set up right next to us, and it's a great day to get some swag and to learn. And if you've got a home improvement project in mind, or maybe you're thinking a year or two down the road, it's not too soon to get in here and start meeting the contractors and planning out your project. So, well, speaking of projects, let's shift gears, Max.
Oh, the humanity.
I just realized I was looking at my notes, Allan. Don't let me forget to talk about our contractor tips, which we'll get to. Anyway, we can go out of order. It's live. What are you going to do? Okay. Go ahead, Allan. What did you do this week? It sounded...
well, where should we start? Should we start with the fowl stories?
I wanted that.
There you go. All right, let's start at the chicken coop.
Okay.
Wow. Let's see here. Got a client out in the Arlington area, and of course, I love the weird phone calls I get. And,
you ought to start recording these and make a documentary out of it.
They my phone calls begin in such interesting ways, and in this one began with, well, I'm down a chicken and up a really fat raccoon.
I think it's a crime that you don't record. Now that I'm thinking of it, you need to just let all your calls go to voicemail.
And just
record them, and just that's our
gosh.
show content for the next week. So, okay.
So once again, the ingenuity and power of a raccoon of overwhelmed and aging chicken coop, and an entrance was made. Of a chicken was harvested, and
that's a nice way to say it.
That's a nice way of saying that somebody besides humans like chicken.
I don't want to get too. I know people are eating their breakfast, but is a raccoon, if they get their hands on a chicken, is that just for sport, or are they gonna?
Oh no, baby! That is Sunday dinner.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that is. They're not playing.
They use the whole chicken.
If we like it, they like it.
Okay.
That's all I got to say about that. So
you needed reinforcements here.
Yeah. So basically, had to get up in there and reinforce it, put in the right kind of screening, and put the, everything together, because it's kind of like, if you think about it, for your pet,
right?
These days, keeping chickens is a big business.
Well,
because there are two vendors.
Chickens.
Well, there are two vendors here today selling chicken coops,
and nice ones too. Yeah,
really
these are like
nice
deluxe
chicken
chicken
coops.
coops.
Oh my goodness, these are some high-end chickens living in these things. But all of them have something really dynamic in common, and that is that they are double reinforced and secured. Because while you have other things better to do, squirrels, raccoons, possums, foxes, and everybody else don't.
Now
They have nothing else better to do but figure out how to get around what you thought of to keep them out.
Alan, let's get inside the mind of a squirrel and a raccoon. So if you're going to breach, if you're a raccoon, now for one thing, you have a size disadvantage compared to the squirrel. So are you going for brute force? Like, are you, in other words, just trying to rip that, I don't know what, that mesh wiring out? Or what's their approach? Because I could see the squirrel tunneling in underneath, maybe finding a
Squirrel's
crack
gonna,
and just chewing through the wood,
exactly.
the soft wood.
The squirrel
they
is
have
going to
their own
find any place
tactics.
where they can get purchase with their teeth.
Okay.
Now, a raccoon, on the other hand, is basically equipped with 4 hands.
Oh, that's true. They got good grasp.
So they can prop those little feet up on something. They can get those little hands up in there, and they literally do have hands.
Yeah.
They have a thumb, they got fingers, they got claws, and they are a lot stronger. You know, they look kind of chubby and cute.
That's why people get them as pets, which is a stupid thing to do. Yeah, that's a big mistake.
Having been around raccoons my whole life, I will freely tell you it's better to think of them as little bitty bears.
Yeah, that's
because
a smart move.
They're smart, they're clever, they will watch what you do. So if they see how you put that latch on, they just figured out how to take that latch off.
Now, do they have raccoons that their job is maybe reconnaissance? Like they're up in the tree as you're collecting your eggs from the chicken coop, and then they're reporting back to their.
I'll give you a real case scenario. Real case scenario. I set up a trail camera on a bird feeder that was on purposely hung outside of the reach of anybody from the ground.
Okay.
So along came 3 raccoons, and they kind of piled up on each other and tried to make like a little pyramid, but couldn't quite reach it. So then 2 of them stayed on the ground, and another one went up the tree, came all the way out the branch, and proceeded to haul the string that the bird feeder was on up into the branch, and then shook it vigorously while the 2 down on below played lookout and guard while the food fell. And then the guy came down off the branch, and they all sat down there and had a lovely little brunch.
Wow.
So,
I mean, you gotta salute that.
The
Teamwork,
ingenuity that they will come up with. And the whole goal is, basically it's lunchtime, and that's about to be lunch.
Okay.
So they're very ingenious, but they are very strong.
Okay, sorry. I know this is about chicken coops, but you're just making me think of something. In history, okay, we know during, I want to say, wasn't it World War I, they used carrier pigeons for delivering messages, and they carrier pigeons have a certain gift of, finding things, and
right.
And they're loyal and all that. Well, have we ever really harnessed the power of the raccoon, like, for our advantage? Like, I mean, this just seems to me like there's a lot of wasted talent going on here, man.
Well,
I mean, raccoons could be the next answer for us. And they're probably eco-friendly, right? I mean, they're mammals.
Let's see. Harvesting the power of the critter trying to eat your pet. Let's see here. Well, let's tie it back to the chicken coop again, and let's look at. Now, there's a growing trend I'm going to throw out there that as you're looking around and you're looking at your home, keep in mind all the critters that used to live in the woods now live in the city with us.
Yeah.
Coyotes, coyotes, foxes, groundhogs.
Well, we encroached on their turf and they didn't leave.
Crows.
So, yeah.
Crows are everywhere. And, these guys, they're all a lot smarter than you think they are, and they're all after something to eat or
right.
someplace to live.
Yeah.
And as we have more and more interesting pets, because a pet now could be anything from a teacup pig. Seriously. If you've ever seen one, they're absolutely adorable. But, there's a hawk in the neighborhood that might want to get hold of your pet bunny or your pet duck or your pet chicken. So a growing industry is I call it the doggio and catio industry. And that is where we're building walks and runs that are protected against nature.
Yeah.
So if you are a person that is contemplating chickens, roosters are not required to have eggs. Let's throw that in.
Yeah.
So the noisy part of the chicken family is, of course, the boys, and they are not necessary.
Well, I kind of resent that, Alan.
Well, they're not necessary. I'm sorry, Joe.
Okay.
So if you're worried about the crowing and the noise and all that, you don't have to have roosters. You can have hens. They lay eggs. They're a lot quieter and a lot less mess than the more aggressive roosters. So you can have them, but you are going to have to protect them. And there are also a variety of quails, doves, pigeons, and other birds that people keep as pets and may even want to have an outsize apiary.
So, Alan, when you build a chicken coop, because you got to think of, it sounds like, okay, big deal. There's a lot of design elements that go into this because, let's face it, the things going on inside a chicken coop, you got to prevent rotting wood.
Yep.
You got to prevent unpleasant buildup, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You got to have a place to get the eggs easily to access the eggs, and you got to protect it from varmints. It's a pretty interesting engineering challenge.
It is.
So, and Alan was up to the challenge this week. So, but there was even more that he did.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to unpack it when we come back here. Don't forget, this is Tool Talk Radio. We're here at the home show of the Mid-South at the Agri Center. Get over here at 10 o'clock.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
You're making a plan while I'm being a man, just winging it.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
I see what you did there, Max. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max back at the studio. We're here today at the home show of the Mid-South. It's quiet right now, although it's not quiet in the booth. Man, everybody's congregating around the Tool Talk Radio booth, Alan. You can't
There's
get a moment's
activity
peace
here.
over here.
Yeah.
So, including our buddy Jay Hill. Jay Hill is now in the house, everyone. He's going to be joining us a little later in the show. And anyway, Alan, this week you really, you faced what might seem like a simple project, but you faced an engineering challenge that if you want this project to last and you want to get years of use out of it, you got to do it correctly, and that is building a chicken coop. Mm-hmm. You're talking about the ingenuity of raccoons and squirrels and other creatures that want to get in. That's challenge one.
Everybody
Hawks,
in wants out, and everybody out wants in.
Right. And you're dealing with unpleasant items inside the thing that have to be removed, or else maybe fall through the bottom or something.
Well, look at it this way: you're dealing with amazing fertilizer that needs to make it to the garden.
Right.
There
so
you go.
If you're going to do chickens, for one thing, too, please give them a little room to move around.
Yes.
I hate the idea of them being so confined. I have one of my customers I've talked about in the past, Becky. They're a combination of free-range chickens, and they have their coop, but she has it completely enclosed because she has hawks in her neighborhood.
Yes,
so.
and they like chicken too.
Yeah, but anyway, but you also did, well, this is something that didn't occur to me. I haven't put one of these in my house, but you did something at your electrical outlet, right?
I did. There are now some remarkable motion detecting light controls.
Okay.
And I will throw in there are any number of apps that are now available through your wireless system for all kinds of electronic controls.
Right.
So you can turn the lights on, turn the lights off. You can even install smart systems now where you can turn on and off lights and other devices in your home via your smartphone from, Greece. If you've got a connection, you can dial into your home and look at your doorbell, talk to somebody making a delivery, turn on and off lights. So for my laundry room, The big thing is it's long, and you got to walk through it in the dark to get to a light switch.
Oh,
So-
I see. I was wondering
so-
what your motivation was for that.
Well, my motivation is I'm not the most graceful human being in the world, and for me to get from this door to that door to turn on the switch, why have to do that? Because I have now put in a motion detector, so that as I enter from whatever door I enter the laundry room from, lights automatically kick on.
Then when you have your basket full of laundry that you're carrying out, you don't have to like prop it up on your knee while you try to.
I don't
reach the
have
door
to.
down.
I don't have to navigate anything. I
Right.
automatically get light. And the other cool thing is now they have got all kinds of timers that you can use with them.
Yeah, because you don't want the thing to go off every
No,
20
I don't.
second. You want maybe about a 3-minute, right?
Well,
Something like
about
that.
10 years ago or 20 years ago, the first time when these came out, you had like 3 minutes.
Right.
And then you had to like go wave your arms in front of it.
Right.
This one has a 30-minute setting.
Yeah,
So I there for 30 straight minutes sitting completely still before the lights go out.
I think a laundry room is probably one of the most optimum places to use it. But I'm thinking too, like I've had now that you're saying that, I've had people I know that they have sort of like you come in from the garage, there's this long little passageway before you get to the main part of the house, and you almost might call it just a throughway. Well, if you're coming in, just let that thing click on for 3
Absolutely.
minutes and then click
Let it-
off. You don't even have to fool with it. So
Yep, and the installation, it fits in a normal light switch space.
yeah.
And, you put now it's a little square cover instead of just the little tiny hole for the light switch. But, every big box store and appliance store on the planet carries the cover for it.
Right.
So, actually, very nice, very simple. Took about, it was a 5 to 10 minute install. Just wasn't anything to get totally worked up about. I will say this, however. You do have to make sure you've got a good ground.
Oh, yeah.
So if you've got an older house and you're not sure about how the grounding is working, take your time and look in there. You should see the ground wires bundled together in the back of the socket.
Now, why is that? Just out of curiosity.
Well,
why do you-
because the new motion detector things require being grounded.
Oh, so they won't work. with
Or
just
they
the
will not
two-prong
work
deal.
if that ground wire is not securely attached.
Okay.
So that was the safety foible that I appreciated when I got it to kick on and turn the light on and off.
Okay. And you also built your own chair, but
Well,
how
all right.
riveting is that? You put together a really quality.
All right. Well, let's talk about building furniture for a second, Joe, because build-it-yourself furniture is not a small topic anymore.
No. I mean, you
there's-
just go to that big store
There
that
is
we
a
all know.
store here
Yeah.
in Memphis the size of a mall
Mm-hmm.
that it's so big it has its own food.
And I'll say
and
this.
it might be from a Nordic country.
Right. Yeah. I think you gave enough hints.
I think I've given enough hints of, let's just say, putting together your own furniture is not a side item anymore. This is a very commonplace activity, and I will freely tell you, do not rush it. Count your parts before you get started. And the other one, take your time and make sure everything is properly tightened the way it should be. And that chair, that desk, it could even be a bedroom suit at this
Right.
point, will give you years of good service, but not if you do a sloppy install.
And I hate to say this, and but I'm just going to be honest. You do have to read the instructions too, because as much as I hate instruction manuals, sometimes you're looking and you're like, okay, this is pretty obvious. You just put this together. But sometimes
All right.
there's that thing of before you put in shelf number B or shelf number whatever, you have to do such and such. And if you don't follow that step, you're taking the whole thing apart and doing it again. So it's
Because
like,
something won't fit, something
Right.
won't clip in place. So that is definitely a domino effect. And I will also throw in, depending upon the brand of furniture you're looking at, every one of these, if you will, again, take a deep breath, take a sip of your coffee, don't get in a hurry, there is a logic to how the furniture's put together.
yeah.
You may not think there's a logic to it. You may think, oh, well, that just goes here and that just goes there. The order that you build it has a lot to do with its strength.
Right.
Because,
and how tight you make. Let's face it. If you over tighten, you ruined it. If
well,
you
then you crack it.
Then it's right.
You crack something won't work. Something stripped. The other thing is, do not assume that is the bolt that goes to this piece.
Yeah, if you just throw the bolts in one pile, and that one bolt is a half an inch shorter than the other or longer.
And they may look the same,
right,
but they're 3 different sizes. Make sure you confirm which one is the right size. I don't mean to beat this to death, but Joe, over the last 30, 40 years I've been doing this, I cannot tell you the number of times my job was, well, we bought 50 chairs.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I got you, man.
And
you want to get a system down.
And I will freely tell you that if all the furniture comes with a hex key, and it comes with the right size hex key,
right,
I am well known for cutting the bend off of that hex key and loading the straight piece into my drill. So that now I don't have to sit there and spin that little hex key 7,000 times while I build 5 pieces of furniture.
That's a good tip. All right. Well, sounds like Allan had a successful week. So that sounds pretty good, man. So except you didn't post any pictures of your chicken coop, so we'll have to follow up with that.
Yeah, there'll probably be forthcoming pictures of coop version 2.0.
Okay.
The owner on purposely wouldn't let me take pictures.
Oh, I gotcha. All right. Well, hey, everybody. If you're just tuning in, as we said, we're at the home show of the Mid-South over here at the Agri Center. It's going to be opening up at 10 o'clock. Tickets are, $11? One of the good reasons to come, if you're a contractor, and maybe I'm saying more of the rookie contractor. If you're an up-and-coming contractor and you're getting ready to launch your business, you can get a lot of contractor tips as well. And one of those we were talking about off air, Allan, which is some people they step into this and they're like, well, I've studied remodeling, I know how to do. I could build this big room addition, I could do whatever, and they want to swing for the fences on every project. And I'll tell you, as you know, Allan, you and I have both been contractors for many years. Don't say no necessarily to those smaller projects because it may not seem like much now, but I can't tell you how many jobs I've gotten where you go in there and it's like, okay, this is a 2-day job. And then it's, well, by the way, while you're here, and by the way, let's do this, because I feel like the homeowners are sort of trying you out. And then suddenly when they want to do that room addition, you're the one they call because they already know you, they trust your work. And it's almost like, so you've been trusted with small things, and now you're getting big things. So it's like, don't say no to those. Those are basically opportunities. If somebody wants to pay you money to do your job, that's not a bad thing, man.
Well, it's not. And well, as you've pointed out in your own home, we moved this one lamp.
Yeah.
Well, now we need new curtains.
Right.
And now we need more stuff.
Yeah. Lot to learn here. So, and okay, well, that's what's going on today, and we have more things to talk about. And joining us shortly is going to be our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
No home is complete without a proper toolbox. Here's April and Andy's. A hammer, half of a pretzel, baseball card, a scissor half, and a flashlight filled with jelly beans.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max back at the studio. And that's because today, if you're just tuning in, we're at the home show of the Mid-South at the Agri Center. It's quiet now, but it's getting ready to be pretty busy over here. The doors open at 10 o'clock. Tickets are super affordable. Just get yourself, get in the vehicle. It's $11 a ticket this year, Big deal. I mean, if you
come on down,
the pens alone are worth the trip. I mean, the free swag that you're going to get will more than cover the $11 fee to get in. But we're having a lot of fun here. We're set up in the northwest section of the Agri Center. We're here set up right next to our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. You really can't miss his booth, and you can't miss Jay. And he's got a whole stack of swag, including Frisbees, Alan.
Mm-hmm.
He's giving those out. So before the break, and it's funny, there's always a dynamic when we're not in the studio and I can't see Max, and when I'm not getting hand signals and everything else he does for us, whatever. But during the break, our buddy Brandon Olmstead from Geek Tank Radio is on hand too. He's around. He pointed something out, Alan, and of course, we don't want to get sued. And so we better
not.
Be careful. Before the break, you said you have a hack. I think it's a good one, but we do have to caution people. You basically said you take an Allen wrench, you cut the end off, and stick that end in the drill when you have a lot of. Like, for example, you said, okay, if I have to put 50 chairs together in this facility, instead of hand cranking all these. But now, there's a few dangers to that to your hack. So
let's start with your battery-powered drill.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a number of settings. There is a dial on it that has like the picture of a drill bit,
right?
And then it's numbered like 1 to 20. And this is the amount of torque it takes to make the drill fail.
Right.
And this is why people and nobody really understands how this works, but I'm going to give it a quick primer. If you are using a drill bit, you want it to keep turning. You do not want the drill to fail for any reason. However, if I am putting a drywall screw into drywall, A, it's a very sharp screw. B, it's a very soft substrate that I'm putting it into.
Right.
I do want it to fail at a point. I don't want it to keep driving like it's a drill. So I may put the number setting down on a 10. And that way when the resistance to the material that the screw's going through reaches a certain point, the drill will make a ticking sound and stop pushing the drill forward, stop pushing that screw in. And this is an awesome way of making sure you don't overdrive or don't hit something too hard when you're using power tools.
May I get on my soapbox, Alan?
Jump right on that, baby.
Because this literally happened to me yesterday. So, as you know, I've got my battery-powered set of drills, and I've got my impact. It's called an impact, right? The one that goes, it sounds like a machine gun when you're...
Well, that's the one that pulses.
Right.
That's what the loud rackety sound is.
I've got that, and then I've got the other drill that's basically like what you're saying. And I loaned my daughter the impact, bless her heart, she is she built a project and she had to drill into some concrete. And I was like, wow, good for her, so she's getting okay. But as a result, I had to use my I had to use just my standard drill, and I was drilling in 3.5-inch deck screws, pretty heavy duty screws, through a 2x4 into studs. It was a lot of resistance.
Right.
And about 5 screws in, I started smelling that unpleasant electrical burning smell.
I'm burning stuff up.
And it's just not cut out for that. And that impact screwdriver, that impact drill has gotten me through. I've drilled through concrete, I've drilled through everything. And so the simple fact that it pauses for a second, what is it doing? Is it gathering its strength? Or because whatever it is, it doesn't overheat. I can,
Well,
and it drills better holes too.
Well, because it does have that microsecond pause, you're not keeping the consistent pressure on it, and it relieves the stress on the screw head and also the copper coil in the unit.
Right.
And, so how is the power delivered? Well, the more you fight against the delivery of power, the more heat or impedance you begin to develop.
Right.
And so if you're using a drill, which is really designed for X amount of use, and you start overusing it or you start hitting it with more and more resistance than it's used to, it can and will overheat. And to be perfectly honest with you, almost any of the modern tools can actually begin to melt down. So
I feel like that's what's happening.
Yeah, you can get some ugly smells out of them. And that even includes, I'll even throw in a twist, that even includes your plunge blender in your kitchen.
Now
Because they're
that's
not
interesting.
designed to run consistently. They're designed to be pulsed.
I
They're not
didn't
designed to
think
just.
of
It's not a blender.
If you throw a bunch of frozen stuff in there, or if you
And
throw
you
something
just
that's
keep grinding on it, you're going to smell some plastic burning.
So, I wasn't even thinking of this, but if you do smell that, for one thing, if you smell that burning
Stop
electrical,
immediately. Stop. Yes.
For one thing, you're wrecking your tool. I mean, it's
You-
possible. I don't know that you're going to start a fire. I mean, maybe you could, but okay, Alan. One time I did this. Now I'm not telling anybody to do this. In fact, don't sue me. But I'm just saying, it was the summertime, and I was stuck, and I had to get this stuff done. I wasn't, and all I had was that drill. Well, it started doing that, and I walked over to the. I asked the customer if I could stick the thing in his freezer, and I cooled it off for about 10 minutes.
And that actually
And
works
it
very
worked.
well.
It
That
wasn't
works very
the
well.
system I would recommend, but I'm sorry, man. I had to get this done, and that's the only drill I had on hand.
I
so.
have on more than one occasion air-cooled tools.
But what is really going on with that tool, and how much? I mean, at that point, you're pretty much wrecked it, right? I mean,
Well, not if you get to it fast enough. If you pay attention to what you're doing. Now, if you just keep pounding at it and pounding at it, oh yeah, you can melt that coil.
no. But what's making that smell? I guess I've never. Really
All right. Well,
asked
what
that.
is happening
making
is the actual copper coil inside of it is heating up,
Yeah.
so that the plastic mounts that are holding it are getting singed.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
that is what's creating that electrical fire smell, and that is the mounting. What will happen if you do this often enough is you will make those mountings either soft enough to fail, or if you keep dancing up to the edge often enough, you'll make those mounts brittle enough that eventually they will break.
So keep a couple keep an impact. I'm telling you, that impact driver, man,
Yep.
that thing.
I
that'll handle
hate
it.
an impact. I absolutely despise impact drivers unless I'm doing a heavy job.
Okay.
I absolutely prefer my little light duty drill for 90% of the work I do.
Yeah.
But I would never use my little drill for, like you said, I got to do concrete taps.
Yeah.
I need something with some serious muscle.
Exactly. So okay. Well, guys, man, this is interesting. Man,
Well,
the first
let me
guy-
throw one more thing.
Yeah.
On the top of a lot of drills, there's also a switch on top that has a 1 and a 2.
Oh, right. Don't
And
ignore
the
that.
1 is speed. Like for a drill bit, I want that bit turning as fast as possible. However, if I've put an attachment on it and I'm trying to tighten or loosen bolts or nuts, I want torque. I don't want speed. So you kick it back to the 2, and now it goes about half as fast,
So,
but now it's got more muscle.
so don't ignore your settings, folks. Okay, I think we covered our tracks on that one. So, well, Alan, hour 1 of Tool Talk Radio is in the can, but we have a lot coming up, including our visit with our buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. And don't forget, folks, today is National Gorilla Suit Day, and I can't wait to hear how Jay's going to be celebrating.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com, our buddy Max back at the studio, and in the house, our good pal Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. And by the way, Max, Jay said he wants new walk-up music. Is that right? You want something like,
Yeah, like Jesse Waters or something. I want something hard hitting and cutting,
How about the final
driving.
countdown?
yeah. Oh, Jay, there you go, man. Can we do that? I don't know if
If
licensing
I can
will
pick
allow
it out, I'll get with you, Max, during the week.
Okay. Yeah, we want something that's going to reflect Jay's true personality. So.
Just
right.
remember the words, non-royalty generating. There you go.
Yeah. So we don't need to get sued. Hey, so if you are just tuning in, maybe we sound a little different. Well, that's because we're on location. We're here at the home show of the Mid-South at the Agri Center. It's quiet, and it's about to, I don't know why people around me are laughing. I don't know what I said that was all that funny.
Don't worry
But,
about it.
there's a lot
We're
of
not laughing with you.
There's a lot. No, I get that. There's a lot of distractions here. There's a lot of things that happen when you're doing live radio, like
Indeed.
like Max leaving the microphone on longer and picking up things that I might say as we go to commercial and things like that. But Jay, it's good to have you here.
Thank
buddy.
you. Glad to be here.
I have to say, this is where we met Jay. I sort of have sentimental attachments to this show. But Jay, it's true. Our partnership with Big M Roofing and Remodeling is as organic as you can get. I remember distinctly. I met, what was that, 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, 4, I think.
Had a roofing problem, and your booth caught my attention immediately.
Right.
So,
I remember that like it was yesterday, and you walked up, and we started talking, and, you never know what an initial conversation's going to end up like, but it started like, I need a roof, and just like y'all would, yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, looking at me going, yeah, right.
But he came back and wanted some more answers and asked a bunch of more questions. And now that I know him well, all those questions he asked, that's who he is.
Mm-hmm.
So he got his information, and we yoked, and we were able to, be successful getting you a roof via your insurance company, which is the best possible outcome.
Yeah, and Jay, it was something that I said. It was years of literally every time it rained, I was like, okay, what am I in for now? Because I had leaks, I had squirrels. Let's face it, Alan, I had years of battles with squirrels, and I tried.
All right, let's put it.
I tried every solution.
Yeah, let's put it your squirrel issue in proportions. Mm-hmm. You didn't have a squirrel problem. You had squirrel condos.
Yeah, it's almost like I was sharing my home with them.
Oh, there was a little for sale sign up on your roof. They had little tours going on.
Right.
Because, well, let's face it, you are almost a baited field because you have a massive pecan tree. Right,
I have 3
there.
pecan trees.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's plenty of feeding ground for them. But anyway, and the pecans aren't good for your roof either, right?
Could be a problem. I don't think they're falling high enough to actually mimic hail or anything, but I think the big problem there would be the traction that the squirrels would have to them.
The sap. So
yeah.
Well, Jay,
rough on the gutters.
When you're here at the home show, what do you, you're obviously here for a purpose. There's a business plan here and everything. What do you try to make happen while you're here, I suppose? So
I tell you, I'm thinking back when I first started coming over here, which was 2016. So this is literally actually my 9th show. And it's just grown and grown and grown. The show has grown, obviously. The amount of vendors, I think the quality of vendors and so on has grown. But it's, it's kind of like selling Girl Scout cookies out in front of the Walmart. I mean, people are coming here to get ideas or find contractors or, businesses that can help them with whatever their home need is.
Yeah.
So that's the cookies. And so literally, I don't know what the hard number is, Mr. C could tell you, but I think between the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I know the biggest numbers that I remember were in 17 and 18, but I hadn't heard the other one, so I don't know. It seems like we're going to have a heck of a show this year, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We're around 15, 16,000, around 3,500, around 3,000 on Friday. Saturday, of course, get ready for that. That's fixing to happen. It'll be a madhouse in here. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the 10,000 range, and then Sunday you'll have 35, 4,000, somewhere in there. So it's just so many people with questions and ideas of their own, and they're just looking for answers. And it's fun just to engage them on a one-on-one basis and kind of introduce what I do to them. And one thing, and I'm not speaking about any of the other guys that do what I do in here, that I just kind of noticed is quite a bit different and I'm proud of, is that when I meet people, first of all, you're meeting the guy that actually owns the company and is going to be the face of this business right in front of you no matter what you do. You're not going to be dropped off to a salesman. Nobody's calling you to do this or that. It's always going to be with me. But when I'm meeting you, I'm handing you immediately, before we even figure out whether or not we'll do business at some juncture, what I affectionately call my kit. And the kit is a 9-page little manifesto, if you will, of all my credentials. Everything from business license, general liability, GAF Master Elite certifications, references, Better Business Bureau rating. It's all right there. So full transparency right off the bat.
Can I say something, Jay? Because
No.
you triggered me. No, you did, in a good way. Because this is probably the reason that I wanted to work with you when I first met you. And you just said something. You said, you're the owner of the company. You're the sales, basically you're the face of it. You're there the day of the installation. You're there with the estimates. You're there for the entire consultation. That makes a difference to me. I'll tell you this, man. Nothing irritates me more than maybe you want a service or you want something, and you got to walk through or you got to go through three or four different departments before you get to somebody that gives you answers or whatever. It's like, well, let me turn you over to our salesperson, and let me turn you over to our account executive, and let me turn you over to our scheduler and all this other. And I'm like, you know what? By the end of it, or send me an email about all this and type up all the. I don't want that. I want to cut to the chase,
exactly, or even better than that. Yes, can I speak to Joe, please? Who? Joe. I met a Joe. Let me see what I can find out.
Oh, in other words, you got the business card of some business, and then you call, and they don't even know who you're. Yeah, because they might be in another state. It might be a national company or something. So I do appreciate that, Jay. You're hands on, man.
All around town, and I know everybody knows this here, and across our country, there is a big challenge to have quality employees, quality trained employees. And I had a much bigger company 8 years ago than I have now, but I have a much more effective and proficient company than I've ever had by downsizing all that stuff and taking that guy that we were just talking about out of the picture totally.
Right. Yeah, that stuff matters too, and it's. I mean, you're not the only roofer in the Mid-South, so you have to be conscientious of that. Although you're one of the top-rated ones, so
yeah,
that's important.
Proud of that.
Yeah, I like that approach, man, and that's really, like I said, that's because full disclosure, Jay, when I first met you, you weren't the only roofer I talked to that weekend.
Right.
So, I mean, but after that, it was like, okay, this is the guy I want to do business with. So
I must have been on that day.
Yeah. But Jay, what you also have some. I will tell you this: you're good at chumming the waters.
Yeah,
your
pretty
booth
good.
is very streamlined, and you got some pretty good giveaways too.
Yeah, I do. We're giving away a $500 gift card. I'm going to leave the name of the company out of the way, but one of your big box.
We know who you're talking about.
All right. Yeah, a $500 gift card at the end of the show. We'll draw it on Sunday evening, just like we have done every year for all the years we have been here. Just stop by the booth and just register. Nobody's calling you. Nobody's doing anything but shredding all this information when we get done. And if you have any interest in any of the trades that we perform, which are basically all exterior for anybody that doesn't know, we specialize in roofing, of course, GAF Master Elite Installer. We do replacement windows. We do siding, both vinyl and aluminum, and replacement and hardy plank as well. We do painting, wood replacement, gutters, shutters, patio covers, fencing, build sunrooms. The only thing really we don't do kitchens and bathrooms.
Yeah.
That's just not us. But there are people here that do that, and God love them.
Yeah, because like I said, that's its own niche thing that we
absolutely
have to get into. So, and I'll just give this out. If you want to get in touch with Jay, call him at 901-484-5645 or go to BigMRoofingAndRemodeling.com. This is Tool Talk Radio. We're here at the Agri Center. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Floor feels a little gritty here.
Yeah, we ran out of floorboards there, so we painted the dirt. Pretty clever.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com. Our pal Max back at the studio, and in the house, our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. We're here today broadcasting from the Agri Center for the home show of the Mid-South. It's cool. Jay's set up right next to us, and also, a reminder: it opens at 10 o'clock. Tickets are $11, and it's a great way to get advice about home improvement. It's a great way, if you've got projects in mind, to meet the contractors that would actually be working on these projects. And so get down here and get some of this free swag as well too. And also, today is National Gorilla Suit Day, and I know, Jay, back in the day, that was how you would drum up business, right, for your work. You'd stand out in front of the house while they're replacing the roof in your gorilla suit, holding a sign for Big M Roofing and Remodeling, right? I mean, that's not a bad strategy. Don't look at me that way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say.
All right, well, you don't have to say anything for right now. But, hey, we've got a couple texts, and then we're going to jump back into our conversation with Jay. But, Max, what do you got, man?
Well, first, we got one in relation to one of our previous shows. Thank you, Brew Blaster, for the belated message.
Okay.
He says, just to reference your past broadcast, after our cold spell and leaving my sink dripping, I did indeed receive a notice from MLG&W that I may have a water leak.
Okay. Yeah, I got one too. I think I got two of them actually. So it's nice. You know, the one thing I hate about that though is I'm just wondering what that costs to mail out things like that.
Well,
I mean, maybe there's a better way they could do that. Could they change it over to a text alert or something?
Well, if they have that information for you. The biggest thing that I'm going to toss in on that is, there's always somebody saying, oh, well, I don't want that smart meter. I don't want them knowing what I'm doing. You'd rather have somebody come to your house
every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead. If you get the option for the more updated meters and tracking, one, they're a lot more accurate, so your bill will be actually better.
Yeah.
And B, if you do have a problem, somebody is trying to give you a heads up before you get a $50 water bill.
There you go.
Yeah, it's actually amazing that, when you get a trickle or something like that, how, that can be detected. I never thought about it really happening as much, dripping water from freeze warnings and stuff like that. Typically, we always have that experience when our flapper on our toilet, is wore out. But, thank God for it because, now I know to hear it. You can hear it. It never really quite stops. You can hear the water seeping through. But, a lot of people really don't understand all that. And that notice, they're going, I need to have somebody check it out.
Maybe one day we'll have freeze-proof pipes, or it'll be set up in a way that it doesn't freeze. But at the moment, that's what we got. That's our system.
I'm afraid there's no money in that.
Yeah,
I don't know about
I mean, up north, we never dripped our pipes in Chicago. I mean, but that's because the homes were built.
You had cast
with
iron
that in
pipes
mind.
too.
Well, we had basements and everything like that. So,
yeah.
But, all right. What else do we got, Max? Who else chimed in? Thanks, Brew Blaster.
Agent 732, you've topped yourself, and I love it. You know why?
Agent 732. I thought I saw Agent 732 here, man. Okay.
There's no telling.
He's probably trolling us. Okay.
All right.
What do we got?
It may not be a gorilla suit, but a chimpanzee in a suit. In the 1950s, a chimpanzee named J. Fred Muggs was a co-host of the Today Show. He was on the show for about 5 years, only leaving after an allegedly jealous co-host began putting vodka in Muggs's drinks. And currently,
that is actually true.
That
yes.
sounds like a problem, man.
And Muggs is currently 72 years old, living with his longtime girlfriend.
Okay. All right. What's the girlfriend's name?
Her name is Phoebe. Her name is Phoebe.
It's what?
Phoebe. Another chimp.
What is Agent? I'm trying to picture what Agent 732 does all day.
Can I tell you an anecdote?
I mean, where does he acquire this arcane knowledge? And
well, the same place I do. It's called the Discovery Channel.
I don't know.
Can I tell you a quick anecdote real quickly about
make
the chimp
it quick.
before? before we
Okay,
move
what?
on. So
Yeah.
the chimp might have not actually had his rise to stardom because he initially missed this audition for the Today Show because they were like their ratings were really tanking, so they thought, why don't we bring a chimp on in order to boost our ratings? And so Muggs, the chimp initially missed his audition, but they decided to kind of, lick their wounds at a coffee shop. And as the chimp was dipping his donut into his coffee, there happened to be an NBC executive there who said, I want the chimp.
Wow.
All right.
Joe, isn't
I don't
that
even know
isn't
what.
that how you got the get on the radio?
My gosh, what a history there. So, I mean, you talk about being in the right place at the right time. I mean, you have a whole career because.
All right, well, A, one, there's a chimp wearing clothes. B, he's in a coffee shop. And C, he's dipping his donut in his coffee.
Okay. Well, let's. Okay.
I mean, come on. That's better than.
Well,
I'll say this real quick. Speaking of that word Max used, had I known the difference between the word antidote and anecdote, my friend Ron Johnson would still be alive today.
What?
He needed life-saving help, and I'm reading him humorous stories, and he's gone. So
Holy smoke.
Max brought that up, and it just rekindled an old wound.
Wow. What? I don't know what direction the show just took there. So.
Well, y'all started it with gorillas. What? I thought that was a step up.
If you want to meet Jay Hill and bring him involved on your project, you can get in touch with him. Okay. But Jay, no, I mean that sounds like an off-air conversation. But, thanks, Agent 732, for totally derailing the conversation. Well done, sir. All right. Well, Jay, hey man, what are people typically? I think the home show is hugely useful as a contractor.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm wondering is. What are most people? What's drawing them to the booth, man? Why are they in? What happens after the weekend? I suppose. So.
Hard to say. Again, I talking to Allan earlier as we were here yesterday, and I try to qualify folks as they're walking by. You just don't want to. I just don't sit in my booth, and just hope they walk up to me and say, "I want to buy roof gutters and." Some shutters from you. I mean,
right.
that rarely happens. So just say hi. What kind of project are you guys looking to get into? But the majority of everybody we asked that to yesterday pretty much had the same answer, which was odd to me when they said, nothing really. We just wanted to walk through the show. Now, that sounds a little different, really, because you would think that most folks. Now
that's Friday.
Well, in my years of selling, so to speak, that is most people's defense of, I really don't want to engage with you right now.
Yeah.
We're going to look around, and if you've got something to see what you do, we may come back and take a look. So, but yeah, that's the way it goes. And you know what? I don't want this to get past us before I forget to share it, but I would like to, if y'all don't mind, say a special thank you to all of the customers, not only that you guys have referred to me over the years, but that I have met here at this show.
Oh, yeah.
I saw 4 sets of customers yesterday, all of whom I met at the show, and we've done multiple layers of business. And of those 4, 3 of them we've done multiple projects for. So, establishing a relationship is a very important thing. And just thank you. So everybody, matter of fact, one of our customers that we're starting on Monday out in the Millington area, building a big shed for them. And I know they're listening.
Yeah.
We're here yesterday, and we look forward to seeing them, and we thank them. And the ladies, I'm meeting these folks where I go in to their home, and so how'd you hear about the show, sir? Oh, I don't listen to it. My wife does. The women are listening to the show, and they're learning to do things that they've not done before and find it quite interesting.
Oh, that's good to know.
And helpful, yeah.
I mean, it's for everybody. So,
Yeah.
hey, Jay, how do people get in touch with you?
Well, the best way, obviously, is the phone, 901-484-5645. That's a direct number to me. I answer my phone all the time, every day. Don't really take that much time off, if any. Or go to my website. That's at bigmroofingandremodeling.com. And you can see everything about us. And I tell you, if I could make the website name longer, I would.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. Yeah.
I had to think about it.
BigMroofingandRemodeling.com. And like we say, next week there's a pretty big sporting event. Call Jay right in the middle of that. Call him at the 2-minute warning.
Yeah.
See if he really does answer that phone. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allen.
You have no skills and you're a loser!
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com, and our pal Max back at the studio, and in the house, our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. And off air, we're rethinking our texting policy and who we're going to allow access to that phone number. We got another text from Agent 732 who happily informed us that he said that he's given himself the job of derailing. If I don't derail the conversation for 3 to 5 minutes, I haven't done my job. So he sure did that with his talk of the chimpanzee from the Today
You started
Show.
it with the gorilla suits, all I got to say.
Yeah, Max, you brought us National Gorilla Day, which is happening today. and then
Gorilla
you
Suit
bring up
Day.
Jackie the baboon. I mean, we've talked about how you might harness the power of animals for your advantage. It turns out there's a lot. That's its own show. I don't know that we can.
That is a drastic topic. It is indeed.
But you said Jackie the baboon was a war hero, right?
He was.
Okay. How'd you like to get taken out by Jackie the baboon? So I don't know. All right. Well, I don't know if you can hear that in the background. Somebody decided to fire up their
they're
chains,
grouting.
or their circular saw or their router or something. But anyway, live radio, baby. Well, Jay, I was looking at your whole list of options. I always talk about your roofing because that's what you did for me. But you're all about the exterior protection of the home, and these are like systems you're putting in, and these are, there's a lot more going on here. So
Yeah, for sure. It's, I guess, proportionally 50% of our business is roofing, but I would say number 2 by far is siding replacement, wood replacement, and so on. There were a lot of homes built, in the Mid-South with the old Masonite siding, which for the viewer or the listener who is not familiar, Masonite was a siding board that was developed and basically built with sawdust and glue. And there was a coating over the top of it, and that was your siding boards, whether they be vertical or horizontal. And what happens to that, and why we do so much replacement of it, is it's only going to last about 20 years if you're lucky.
yeah, if it's not exposed to water.
Yeah, because ultimately what ends up happening is this rain pelts down so hard on that siding that it's going to get behind the coatings, and then it's just going to basically disintegrate.
Yeah.
And it looks like nothing but sawdust. So if you're ever riding around a neighborhood or maybe even your own neighborhood and you look up at the side of someone's house and you see the waves in it and you see basically the siding board itself disintegrating, that's the old, what we call Masonite board. And, of course, there's a couple of ways that you can go moving forward to get your home in tip-top shape. And one of the ways, and what a lot of people will do, is you've got the opportunity to either replace that board. You could always use Masonite, although it's getting harder and harder to find. But we've got a new product, a relatively new product, relatively in the last 10, 12 years. It's really taken over by the James Hardy Company, and it's called Hardy Plank, which is a cement board. So it's a flexible board that looks exactly like the board that before, but it's basically a cement composite, and it'll last forever.
It's like concrete based, right?
It is. And it's paintable, but it actually even comes in probably 10 or 12 different colors as well. So we do quite a bit of that. Some people opt to go with vinyl siding there because this is kind of a neat thing. Let's say you've got masonite siding right now, and you want to get your house in tip-top shape. Your hardy board replacement is going to be more expensive than your vinyl siding, okay? You can do the vinyl siding, and it looks killer. I've actually got some on my home. And you don't have to take down what you perceive as the rot and so on that you see up there now. So it's from a labor standpoint, it's a lot more cost effective. You basically would just put an insulation board over the top of that, and then lay your vinyl siding on top of that. And vinyl siding is available in literally hundreds of colors. So we do a lot of that. And the great thing about vinyl siding is it's got a color fast to anywhere between, depending on the manufacturer, from 25 to 50 years. So not only are you making your house look good, you're not going to have to paint it probably in your lifetime.
Right.
You'll go on to be with the Lord, or you'll sell it to somebody before that's an issue. So,
may I say something about siding, Jay?
Sure, yeah.
Because one of the things, we're always talking about DIY, and we always encourage people to do things themselves. I will say, installing siding looks way easier than it actually is. Would you agree? I mean, this is something I would just leave it to the pros. There's geometry involved. You got to think about, like you said, insulation. You got to think about what this thing's going to do against the weather.
Yeah,
it's got to look good.
Yeah, and depending on which type of the siding you're talking about, whether it be vinyl or it be hardy plank, for instance, James Hardy, is extremely specific about their installation, or you'd void a warranty real quick. You can't have a ton of nails. You've got to have a specific overlay between one board and the next. And it's just a way that you have to do it. When it comes to vinyl siding, you got to know how to set those J channels where they're absolutely perfect, so you can start laying in your lateral siding on top of that, and you got to know how to trim that out.
Yeah, we've seen badly installed siding. Yeah. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen people, Jay, that painted because I'm assuming they took like a light colored vinyl siding, then they painted it like a dark royal blue, and it warped in the sun, right? Because your paint color affects how much heat is going.
Yeah, you can't paint vinyl siding.
No,
that's a total waste of time, and it's not going to look good.
No, it didn't, and it just didn't age. These things are made, like we said, these are systems that you're installing. So
yeah, and that's adding a lot more weight to that vinyl, and not a good idea.
No, and what about gutters? Because the one thing that's cool with your gutter system is seamless gutters, and it's funny.
Man.
It almost looks like if you were to stick a camera in the yard across the street while you're putting your gutters in, it would look like, okay, how did he just pull a 30-foot gutter out of this 12-foot truck or something?
Yeah, that's right. In the last 20 years, more specifically probably 15, the advent of seamless aluminum gutters has come to the rescue. In the past, the gutters that we had were, of course, galvanized steel, and you could go to the supply house and you'd have to buy it in 10-foot sections. Mm-hmm. So when you couple those together, every 10 foot you've got a seam. You're asking for trouble right there down the long haul, as you can imagine. And then
plus it doesn't look as good.
No, it doesn't look good at all. So now, literally, we have a fabricating machine that's on the truck that literally, as you said, can take 12 to 15-inch gutter coil and feed it into it, and we can cut a run as long as 300 feet with no seams at all.
Yeah.
And it's lightweight. It's aluminum. It's going to last a lot longer. It's not going to rust like the galvanized will over the long haul. And that's the other thing that you can do. The standard gutter up until very recently has been a 4-inch gutter. So as homes have gotten steeper, if you will, the amount of rainwater that a gutter system would need to handle needed to increase. So now we can make gutters up to 6 inches on the reservoir, and they'll hold a ton of water. Plus, we do all the gutter screens. We've got 3 different designs, models, if you will, of gutter screens. And so if you've got trees around the house and stuff like that, you'll want to go ahead and get those while you get your gutters on, so you're not up there, in your retirement years thinking you're going to clean gutters and you can still do it. It's just
who wants to if you
not
don't
a
have
good
to,
idea.
man.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And you don't really have to, right? I mean, unless there's just some raccoon destroys your system or something. But other than that, it's maintenance free, basically.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, you do this math. You put gutter screens on your gutters when you buy them. It's depending on the size of your house, it's going to cost $150 to $500 to clean your gutters out 2 times a year.
Yeah.
These gutter screens pay for themselves very quickly.
Absolutely. Hey, Jay, how do people get in touch, man, if they want to talk about this?
Give me a call at 901-484-5645, or you can go to the website, which is Big M Roofing and Remodeling.com.
Go to the website anyway. There's a lot to look at there, man.
There really is.
A lot of good photo evidence of your past projects.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Pretty good stuff, man. So, well, if you want to meet Jay and possibly win a $500 gift card to the big box store that we've all gone to, how do they do that, Jay?
But yeah, just obviously got to come to the show. I don't have a way to take them on text or anything like that, but basically come up to my booth, and I've got a registration card right there, and you just put your name, address, phone right there, whether you are or are not interested in anything that we do, and put it in the hopper right there. And I'll tell you, everybody, this. You think, there's no way I'm going to win that. I won't have but 150, 200 of those in that whole basket right there.
Odds,
no, it ain't bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's better than the lottery, man.
I was going to say the same thing.
All right. Well, hey, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're here at the home show. It's about to open, about 15 minutes, folks, and then the gates are opening. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allen.
Brought to you by Little Stinkers lilac-scented baby orangutan diapers. A fresh-smelling orangutan is a happy orangutan. Choose from Action Fit, Triple Absorbency, or Overnight Comfort varieties. Bring the joy of potty training a jungle animal back into your life with Little Stinkers lilac-scented baby orangutan diapers.
Happy Gorilla Suit Day.
They also make a nice rose-scented diaper as well. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com, and our pal Max, who outdid himself back at the studio, and our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling, who is trying to recover his dignity after that little stinker there. So, but, anyway, hey, we're here at the home show of the Mid-South. It's now it's buzzing. The doors are going to open here in about 15 minutes. We encourage you, get down here. If you've got a project in mind, or if you just want to get inspired, that's, Jay, that's the other thing. You might meet somebody here at the home show, and you may not do business today, but in 6 months or a year, you are going to do business. That's just the way it is, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things we've been talking about is, Jay, when there's no substitute for actually meeting the business owner, and you're now. Not all business owners are here. Sometimes this is, they have companies with national sales reps or something, but you are street level, man. You are grassroots, and you're here. And if you meet Jay Hill, that's the person you're doing business with.
I think it's more fun that way, and I definitely think it's a little bit more professional. And I'm not taking away from any company that's got some outstanding people that are representing them and doing a good job doing it. It would mean something to me if I had an opportunity to do business directly with someone who owned that particular company, and I knew the buck stopped with him, and I think that's important.
I think it's a bit. Well, that's why we did business with you, Jay. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I don't want the I don't want to go through 4 different people before I get to a decision maker. And plus, I don't know. That's just sounds. When I hear that, here's what I hear, Jay, as a informed consumer. If I called another roofing company and they put me through their sales department and their accounting department and their schedule, I'm like, this is going to be a lot more expensive. You have to pay those things. Those things you're paying for that overhead.
Well, I'm gonna give you a number that'll blow your mind.
Talk to me.
How many roofing companies do you think are in the Mid-South, directly really in Memphis, or located out of this area?
437.
That's a little high.
Oh.
356.
There you go.
Think about that. That's a huge number. And what I've noticed over the years is that a lot of companies, because, again, they want to grow their business, and I get that, is they're constantly hiring, folks without any experience, trying to train them as best they can, and they're getting out here and they're knocking on your door saying, hey, I saw some damage up there. What if I can get your insurance company to pay for it? Sign this right here. This tells you right here now, if I get the insurance company to pay for your roof, then I get to lay your roof, and I'm gonna get the money right there that the insurance company pays. Go ahead and sign that. And that's what they do. We call it tapping, knocking, stuff like that. And it's just a little bit scary to open your doors to strangers anymore, to be quite honest with you. And those guys last about 3 or 6 months, and they go, man, this is the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Out here knocking on doors all day long.
Well, that sales tactic's gone anyway. Nobody answers their doors. You got to ring doorbells, and you can just look through the doorbell and see who it is. So
Yeah, that's tough. But at the end of the day, those guys' compensation really is paid on how many contingency agreements they can get a customer to sign. They'll tell everybody, I guarantee you I can get this worked out with your insurance, and don't even know if it's got any damage yet.
Right.
And that's the key. I'm not going to let a customer call in a claim to insurance if I don't know there's damage there. All of you, Allan, you, Joe, even you, Brian, Brian.
Brian was the other roof. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Y'all all had damage. We looked at it. It was there. You had storm damage, wind damage. One of you had hail. I forget which one it was, or a combination of both. And that's key, because the last thing you want to do is call in an insurance claim and don't even know if you've got a claim to start with. Insurance companies look at that. Matter of fact, if you had a USAA insurance policy, for instance, you've got with your member number, there's a dash, and then there's a number that's after that. And it's anywhere from 0 to whatever. Mm-hmm. That number there, and I've seen as high as 16, is how many claims you have had with that company over the years you've been a member.
You just triggered me again, because, Jay, every week when we talk about you and we talk about Big M Roofing, we say, look, if you think you have damage, Jay literally should be the first person you call, because for one thing, it's a free consultation, and this is more or less, you could say, it's kind of off the record. It's like this is a way to check the situation out without making a ding in your insurance, because I'll tell you this, I have an auto insurance company, who I won't name, but when we were looking at renewing the policy, they said, well, you've got a lot of claims on here. And I said, what claims? I said, they said, well, you had your car towed twice. I had my kid, and I said, that's a claim? I thought I had roadside coverage. They said, well, our company counts that as a. So there's all these little things that if you're not aware of it,
them
man,
down the curb like a bad habit.
Yeah, I was a little annoyed. I was like, wait a minute, I thought that was what I'm paying for, is if we need a tow. So I'm just saying, there's all sorts of things, like you say, that you got to protect yourself with your policy.
Yeah, so I'm going to say this. And that story right there reminds me of the way that it really is. And I hope everybody can get this in their spirit at some juncture about insurers. There's nobody on your side. There's no good neighbors. None of that. That's who they are. And if you don't know the ins and outs of how to navigate an insurance claim, they will beat you up and beat you up and beat you up. That's who they are. I can't tell you how many times over the years I'd see somebody, they'd ask me to come out about the roof, and I'd say, "You've got 55 missing increased shingles, Mrs. Jones. We can get insurance to take care of this. You've got coverage for that." And they'd go, "Oh, I wouldn't want to do that to my insurance company." Why would they say that? I'm going to tell you why. The insurance, the Big Ten alone spends $3.5 billion a year telling you how great they are. They're on your side. We've got a good neighbor. You're in good hands.
Right.
That's what happens.
Well,
so don't fall for the stuff.
And if you're new to Tool Talk Radio, and if you haven't met Jay Hill before, the reason that we say this with such confidence, Jay, you worked in the insurance business, and so
I did.
You've got tons of experience with this, which is a cool crossover. I mean, it's a cool set of skills you bring to the table that I think puts you ahead of a lot of other roofing companies. So
yeah, most people are insurance people or they're contractors. The fact that I've got experience in both those arenas really is a plus for the consumer.
Yeah. So one more time, how do people get in touch, Jay? And really, if you've got any questions about it, Jay, this is a direct call. You're going to get it right away.
Yeah. My phone will ring right now on the air if you called. I forgot to turn it down.
Do it
Don't
after.
do it. Don't y'all do it.
Call them in 5 minutes. Yeah.
901-484-5645. That's 901-484-5645. Like to see more about us? Don't want to leave the comforts of your home? Go to BigMRoofingandRemodeling.com. Got a gallery there of all the stuff that we do, all our credentials, our Better Business Bureau rating, all of that right there for you to take a look at.
Absolutely. And if you want to meet Jay in person, radio legend Jay Hill, come on down to the home show of the Mid-South here at the Agri Center. Well, you guys, it's time to get out of here. Okay, the gates are open, you guys. Let the flood begin, but it's time to get out of here. So until, on behalf of my buddy Alan Gilbreth and our pal Max back at the studio and our buddy Jay Hill, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening to Tool Talk Radio, and we'll see you next week.